So, hi. It's been a while since I've actually attended a LINX meeting. Well, actually, no, I've attended, but I've not presented for a long time. So, it's nice to be back on the stage at the new venue. So, how many people in the room know what Euro-IX is? Okay. That's good. That's good because I'm going to give an introduction for those that don't. Euro-IX is a membership-based organization for internet exchange points. We currently have 81 members. And unlike the name Euro-IX, our members do actually come from all over the world. And our newest ones, as you can see, are the Saudi Arabia Internet Exchange and the Costa Rica Internet Exchange. We have a number of patrons, similar to sponsors, but the patrons are vendors or data centers that work closely with the internet exchange points. We have the vendors and the data centers are also invited to our forums, which I'm going to talk about a bit later. And actually help form part of the membership as well. So I know there's a couple out here in the room, so we appreciate your support and thank you. So, like I said, we have 2 forums a year. This year we managed to take 110 attendees representing 42 internet exchange points to Galway in Ireland. It was a great forum hosted by IXPDB, and we have our second forum this year, which will be hosted by Namex, Topics, and VKIX in Venice. We have a website and database that we manage, and I'm going to talk about that a bit later on. Being an association for internet exchange points, something that we like to do as well is to support IXPs in need. So there is a number of ways you can do this, and 2 of the ways that we currently do this is that we have a fellowship and a mentor IX program. The fellowship program brings IXPs that can't afford to attend the forums. So we've had IXPs from, for example, Pakistan, from Congo come, who obviously can't afford to pay for their flights and accommodation to attend, but are building internet exchange points and want to learn and share experiences and challenges with other IXs who may be in the same position. So that's a program we run for the forum. The Mentor IX program is there as kind of like a twinning. So we kind of match up an IXP in need with an IXP that may have recently gone through a certain challenge, who can then help out the other IX. And that's been really successful too. We have a number of mailing lists, and they're not just for members. If you want to have a look on the website, and there are some that are open to non-members, which can be useful if you're interested in learning about certain things that IXPs are doing. We do a number of reports. We have a benchmarking report, which is for internet exchange points. Well, actually, it's for members that only take part. And we've been doing this now for 13 years. We have other reports about traffic, hardware, and root servers as well, and they come out periodically throughout the year. We have newsletters. The newsletters are if you're interested in information about internet exchange points, and also if you have any news to share with internet exchange points or that particular community. We take articles from members of members as well, so that if you've got any news to share, we'd be happy to add that to our newsletter. We do run a number of workshops as well, and in the workshop we had last year in the summer, we looked at root server large BGP community list. So some of you may be aware that the RSC was released sometime last year, and basically what happened was a couple of the IXs got together and thought, right, before people start kind of making up their own community lists, why don't we put together a standard that can be used at all internet exchange, well, can be used at internet exchanges that want to, and we published that. So that's available on the Euro-IX website and on the GitHub site, so if you're looking for a bit more information, you're more than welcome to look there as well. And what this means is it's just a list of communities for IXPs. We don't force them to use it, but it's there. The work has been done, so I don't really see why you wouldn't want to use it. But so that's another piece of work we've done. We're on social media. You can follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and we have a couple of videos as well that are useful if you want to know a bit more about internet exchange points or how the internet works. So you can take a look on our YouTube channel. Right, so the main reason that I'm here actually is to talk about the IXP database. So the IXP database is a project under the Internet Exchange Federation. The Internet Exchange Federation is an organization for coordinating the efforts of Internet Exchange Point Associations. Sorry for all the new acronyms. So the IXPAs are the members of the IXF, and here's a list of the IXPAs. So we have AFIX, which represents Africa. We have APIX, which represents Asia. Euro-IX, which represents Europe. And LINX, which is Latin America and the Caribbean. Collectively, we represent over 145 internet exchange points across 6 continents. So what is the IXF? So apart from the members being the IXPAs, there is a board. So we have 2 members from each of the IXPAs who sit on the IXF board. And I'm not going to read the names out, but I'm sure you recognize some of those names up there. So a little bit of history. Why did the IXF come about? Euro-IX started now 18 years ago, and there was an interest from IXPs from outside the European region, the European region or the Euro-IX region, to join and attend the forums. This was the first time, if you think about 18 years ago, about IXPs coming together, looking at and discussing their challenges, their experiences, and how they're going to grow, and also new technologies. What's going on, what's your IXP doing? So back then, this was, it was new, and so larger IXPs especially, were interested in joining so that they could learn and take this back to either their country or their region. So there was a discussion about having kind of like, if you like, a global IX association, but the problem with that was that then the meetings wouldn't quite work out, and you have language problems, and also the challenges in each of the regions are very different. So it was really important that we look at our own regional IXs and see what kind of issues we can help them with. So each of the IXPAs were set up. Euro-IX is now the longest standing. APIX and FIX and LINX. In 2012, APIX, Euro-IX and LINX got together and decided to start a federation. And then FIX joined shortly afterwards in 2014. We have a number of challenges, but the main ones that really kind of brought us together and is now kind of bringing us together more and more is, first of all, the increasing policy and regulatory issues around the world. So there are, we talked about this a little earlier, how there are regulators and policy people that are interested in what's going on with IXPs, and in some places around the world are also keen to, if you like, step in and get involved. So this, with the federation, it's kind of like having one voice, and we can kind of come together and resolve these issues together. The other objective was to facilitate interaction between the IXPs to address the shared challenges. And this we do through the mailing lists and also the forums. And now there's more and more of things like the fellowship program and so forth. There's more and more of IXs from different regions attending, each other's meetings, meaning that there's a lot of opportunity for IXs to learn new things. And finally, here we have provide a central resource for IXP-related data, research, and best common practices. So, and this kind of leads me nicely onto the IXP database. So, the IXP database. Here's a little bit of history for those of you that don't know what it is or are about to say, oh, another new database. So first of all, it's not a new database. It's actually existed since 2001, since Euro-IX started, where we were just holding data about members, and then in 2012 we opened it up so that we had actually a complete list of internet exchange points, not just members of the IXPAs. With the formation of the IXF, it didn't make sense for each IXPA to have its own database. So we already had the Euro-IX database, and we could have continued with that and just had IXPs in there. And the LAC region were very close to actually starting up their own database. And then there would have been one in the LAC region, there would have been one in Africa. And when we kind of got together with the Federation, we were like, well, actually, that doesn't really make sense. Because also there's a lot of crossover. There are IXPs that are based in Europe, that are based in South America or Asia. So it just didn't make sense, and it would have got quite confusing. So the IXF committed to build the IXP database. The other reason was that the IXPs had no control over their data in PeeringDB, and to some extent still don't today. So because of this reason, the IXF got together and said, okay, well, you know what? Let's give the world the view from the IXP's eyes. So in 2014, we held a hackathon in Sheffield together with PeeringDB. We initially contracted out the development work to 20C, who are the developers of PeeringDB. And this was just so that we could have this close relationship with PeeringDB, because we didn't want to have any sort of fragmentation. We wanted these databases to work harmoniously together so that we could provide the best data for the community. A bit more background. So, it is a single repository for IXP data. There is data on the members, so the ASN data and the IP addresses. And IXP-related data such as switch information, also root server information, and all kind of like details about the participants that are connected to the IX, which is actually quite unique data. And the other thing that we have is vendor information. So I've got switch information there. But so this is data that's actually currently not available on any other database. So we're going to have vendor details currently shown aggregated on the website, so you can see which vendors are being used at IXPs. And in coming up soon, and I do have a coming soon list, we have the vendors of the participants. So the IXP database provides authoritative data. It's published directly from the IXPs, so there is no manual input. We got together, a couple of IXPs again got together and decided to put together a JSON template. It's called the IXF JSON schema. In this schema, it contains a lot of information about the IXPs and the IXP participants. And what we do is we ask IXPs to export that over to us, and So that comes directly from the IXP to the IXP database, automated. Our plan going forward is as well, and things that we've talked about with other databases out there, is that we could use the data in the IXP database to actually verify and validate data against against the IXP database, or use other databases to do this. So, example, some of the organisations that we're currently talking to are Team Cymru and Telegeography. And then, also, and the good thing about this is that you can see where there are the discrepancies, and then obviously there's notifications that would get sent to either the admins of the database or to the IXs themselves and say, oh, hey, we've spotted that, your data here is incorrect, or can you just check that this is correct? And being as part of the IXF and the IXPAs, we have that relationship with the Internet exchange points that we can actually go to them and say, can you just have a look at this? And usually they do. The other databases could use IXP database as a subset. So the other difference with the IXP database is that we're not saying that we're a database of everything. We are a database of information on IXs. So, for example, if you're a network that doesn't peer at an IX, you won't be in the IXP database. If you're a data center that doesn't host an IX, you won't be in the IXP database. So it's very, very specific data related to Internet exchange points. We do believe the IXP database is complementary to other databases, and has further scope to improve data quality. And, at the end of the day, we just want to be able to give you, the community, and the people that are using this data, the best data possible. So, how does it work? Okay, so I've talked a little bit about the JSON schema. It's an agreed standard. And like I said, it makes a member list and other data available. And if you want to read up on what actually is contained in there, you can have a look on the GitHub site there. The IXF export allows the individual IXPs to be the source of the data about the IXP and its exposure. So there are IXPs that don't necessarily want to share all of their data. The plan going forward is that we will have some mandatory fields that the IXs must share, and then there will be fields that IXPs are happy to share with other IXs to help them learn, grow, and learn. And actually, one place where this has been really useful, and we found this with the old Euro-IX database, is, for example, on the switch database. So IXPs that are using the same switches, we have the model number and the make of the switch. So for an IX that's having an issue, a problem or a bug with a particular hardware and software version, they can easily look up on the switch database and see, oh, that IX is using the same, I wonder if they had that problem. And then they can contact that IXP and say, how did you resolve this, or have you come across it yet? So we have found lots of examples of this, and plenty of these examples have been already presented at the Euro-IX forums. So for that reason, some IXPs, like I said, are happy to share some data publicly, but some data they want to keep private. And this is this with the IXP database, that level of exposure is up to the IXP. So like I said, the data is published from the IXP. It can be done publicly. We're starting to get requests for sending us private APIs. And other systems like IXP Manager. So the great thing, and we love IXP Manager, by the way, and the great thing with IXP Manager is that it has a default export to the IXP database. So this is great, because it means that currently with 57 instances of IXP Manager, we get that data without actually having to do very much. Again, the IXP database will publish a single API. And just to show you the commitment that the IXF is putting behind this, each of the individual IXPAs are holding workshops and trainings, and we're putting together how-to guides to help support IXPs actually build this into their processes. So, for example, we had one at Euro-IX, which is just an automation workshop. We had an IXP manager workshop in LINX and during APIX and during FIX in Africa. There's also going to be an IXP manager workshop. So, by the end of June, and this is primarily because there's some work that I need to do, we will actually have 110 IXP exports working in the database. So that is 110 IXs that you are which will have pretty accurate and complete, I don't want to say pretty, I want to say I'm 100% accurate and complete data from. Right, so where are we? The API is live, and I'll show you where it is in a second. We are looking to do some integration work with other databases, like I mentioned. Again, the IXPs can pick the level of exposure they want. IXPs control the data. The IXPAs can approve and create new IXPs. So the way that we've built this is that we've actually kept it really flexible. So, for example, if we start working with other organizations will also be able to approve, create, and add IXPs. So that's not just going to be the IXPAs. We have a last updated field, and this allows users to see when the data was last updated. And actually, I found this, especially while I'm building the database, really, really useful, just so that I can really see which of the exports are working. So that's really useful. And that last updated is also going to be available in the API. So for those of you that are using scripts already to do some of your automation work, if you don't want to have like the old data, you can actually put in the last updated date that you want into your scripts, and you'll just get the updates from then. Aggregated vendor data at IXPs is now available. So if you look on the website, like I said, there is some work that I need to do to fix some of this. But you can get an idea of what kind of aggregated data that we are going to show. Aggregated data on vendors connected to IXPs. So, we do get the MAC addresses from the JSON schema. So we're currently using that to aggregate it and show the vendors. There are talks about doing other things with the MAC addresses, and we may do something more with that, like have a MAC address directory, which I think would be quite useful, not just for the IXPs, but the members, and also I think for the vendors that want to see, who's using their equipment where. Aggregated traffic data, again, coming soon. And this, no longer are those days where you kind of log on to each and every IXP website and look at their peak traffic monthly and things like that. So we're not going to be doing that anymore. We're going to get all this automated through the JSON as well. And, of course, geolocation and maps. I was having a look on the IXPDB website just earlier today, and I see that that's actually already there. I do need to check how, if it's actually working correctly, but at least you can see a little bit of a taster of what is coming. So, here's all the information that you need now. The website is IXPDB.net, and I can't stress enough how much this is still work in progress, but please watch this space. There is a mailing list for users, so if you're interested in using the data as an IXP or as a participant who wants to use the data from IXPs, then feel free to join the mailing list. The API is available at api.ixpdb.net. And finally, if you think this is good work like we do, then please fund us. For more information, contact us on secretariat@ixf.net. And finally, on something completely different, we have a short video about IXPs and how the internet works. So if you're interested in watching that video, or if you want to send it to your family and tell them a little bit about what you do, it's a 5-minute great little video on how the internet works. If you don't see a language there that you speak and would like to translate it into another language, then also please get in touch. Thank you. Any questions? No? All right. Thank you.